Good morning and welcome to this St. Patrick's Day version of the Minnesota House Commerce, Finance, and Policy Committee. Happy St. Patrick's to everyone. The majority of our agenda today, coincidentally, is liquor on St. Patrick's Day. Just happened to be that way. Representative Hewitt.
I'm fine.
All right. Well, I just want to make sure that we're in good shape. We do have a lot of items on the agenda today. Today will also be the day that we hear, compile, and attempt to vote out from the committee, if the committee's wishes are such, to move the liquor bill to the general register for the calendar year 2026. And so without any further ado, we do have a quorum present, and Representative Dotseth, have you had a chance to review the minutes from the previous meeting, which would have been a Thursday of last week?
I do, and I motion to approve.
Representative Dotseth moves the approval of the minutes. Any corrections, additions? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Let's try that again. Everybody signify by saying aye.
Aye.
There we go. Those opposed? The motion prevails. And our first bill on the agenda is a liquor bill. And just to give members and those present an idea of how we're going to proceed today, and as we're getting ready, Representative Nadeau, if you want to go to the testifying table and bring any testifiers that you have for your bill. We have 4 or 5 bills that we're going to hear that are liquor bills. The Senate has already compiled their bill, has voted it out of committee. Since that time that the Senate did that, there have been some additional liquor bills that have been introduced. In consultation with the Senate, it is our hope that we will take all of the Senate provisions, which many of those we heard last year, along with the other provisions from today, and we'll do a DE, and we'll take by amendment the bills that the committee wishes to add to the omnibus bill for liquor this year. And then once we have that, we will then put the bill as amended to a vote and attempt to, again, move it out of committee if that is the wishes of the members of the committee. And so with that, I will move House File 4145 before the committee to be laid over for possible inclusion in that aforementioned liquor omnibus bill. Representative Nadeau, welcome to the committee. If you will go ahead and proceed with your testimony and your bill setup. I do see we have an A1 amendment, which is the author's amendment. It is a delete all. And so with that, I will move the DE1 amendment for the author to get the bill in the shape that the author wishes. Any discussion on the DE1 amendment by members? Hearing none, seeing none, all is in favor of the DE1 amendment to get the bill in the shape that the author wishes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion prevails. Representative Nadeau, to your bill as amended. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members. Today I'm presenting House File 4145. This is the Grand Happy Hour bill. This bill provides a narrow exception to liquor law for assisted living and nursing homes when alcohol is served solely for resident activities. I appreciate the purpose of liquor regulations, but sometimes we recognize they go too far. Licensed healthcare facilities already regulated by the Minnesota Department of Health for food safety, storage, and service shouldn't require an additional agency license to allow happy hour activity for residents. I also want to acknowledge the support from consumer advocacy organizations, including the Ombudsman for Long-Term Care, AARP, Legal Aid, and the Elder Justice Center. It's notable that both consumers and providers are aligned behind this bill. The amendment represents the agreement between the long-term care imperative and the Department of Public Safety. It allows the licensed facilities to coordinate happy hour, and I've got 2 testifiers here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Nadeau. The first testifier I have on the list is Abigail Dahl. Good morning and welcome to the committee. If you'll state your name for the record, and then please proceed with your testimony.
Right.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. Members of the committee, my name is Abby Dahl, and I am the Executive Director at Amira Choice Champlin. I'm here to testify in support of the bill exempting licensed assisted living facilities and nursing homes from needing a city liquor license to serve resident happy hours. About a year ago, my organization was celebrating the completion of a major renovation project. As part of that celebration, we wanted to plan a reception with a champagne toast. So I reached out to my local city for guidance and to notify them of the plans. Imagine my surprise when, as the conversation evolved, I learned that licensed facilities like assisted livings and nursing homes were technically not allowed to coordinate resident happy hours without a liquor permit. As Anita will share, this is their home. They are legal adults. We were shocked to learn that we would need a permit, one that would add costs and license and permit fees, liquor insurance, and extra red tape. The kicker is, for my city and for many other cities in Minnesota, not every city has a local permit that fits our situation. No sale, just resident-focused activities. Assisted living facilities are already accountable to over 500 regulations governing the health, safety, and well-being of residents in our care. That includes being licensed as a food establishment through the Health Regulation Division. We must have a certified food protection manager on staff. When the certified food protection manager is not on site, there has to be a person in charge, following strict sanitation, temperature control, and safety protocols. We already train staff on proper food safety, including proper food storage, proper labeling and handling, and protection from contamination. Maintaining employee personal hygiene, including appropriate hand washing, glove use, illness reporting. Lastly, licensed nursing homes and assisted living facilities already have existing safeguards to assess cognitive status, monitor medication interactions, document resident choices, supervise residents with impaired judgment, and implement care plans for those with substance abuse concerns. In other words, assisted living and nursing home dining operations are already operating under a comprehensive public health regulatory framework designed to prevent foodborne illness and protect residents. Requiring a liquor license is simply red tape without value. It is duplicative, not protective. Thank you for the opportunity to testify and share our experience today.
Thank you, Ms. Dahl. And with that, we'll move to the second testifier who has signed up, Anita LeBrun. Good morning and welcome. If you'll state your name for the record, and then please proceed with your testimony. Again, welcome to the committee.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Anita LeBrun. I am a resident at Amira Choice in Champlin, Minnesota. I am here not just behalf of myself, but behalf of the entire community of residents of the assisted living community who are trying to live our lives. Just because we are older and live in assisted living doesn't mean that we should have fewer freedoms than anyone else. Imagine our surprise when the community we have chosen to live has to stop coordinating social events that bring us together. My friends and I love happy hour, just like many of you do. I am sure. Over a shared drink, we get to reminisce about parts of our life, military service, raising a family, the loss of a friend, and celebrating the golden phase of our lives too. Allowing our facility to coordinate this happy hour affords us and our families the peace of mind that we can enjoy life, but not be slipping on ice to shop for wine. The staff of our facilities have our care and well-being top of mind. They are highly trained in assuring our safety already. This bill is simply putting into law what many people assume is already allowed: happy hour at the place where we call home. Thank you for your time to testify.
Thank you for your testimony. That concludes all of the testifiers that we had pre-signed for testifying today. Is there anyone present today who'd like to testify on House File 4145 that's before the committee as amended? Seeing no one from the public, we'll go to member questions. Representative Hewitt.
Thank you, Chair O'Driscoll, and Representative Nadeau, thanks for bringing this bill. This was one that someone came up to me and said, would you be a co-author? And I definitely right away. We have to free the silence generation, right? I mean, that's what this bill should be called, is these individuals, this is their home, this is their place of living. And a question to the testifier that manages, when you purchase the alcohol, do do you purchase it at a wholesale place, or do you purchase it from a regular retail? And then do you charge for this alcohol?
Ms. Dahl?
As of right now, since I learned about this law, we haven't been able to purchase alcohol. But prior to that, we would just purchase it at any liquor store, and we did not charge for it. It was just part of events and a supply expense that we had.
Representative Hewitt, follow up.
Thank you, Chair O'Driscoll. And that's exactly the point here, is that this was bought under retail situation. They give it away. There's no commerce happening here. I don't know why this bill is even needed, to be honest with you. However, I do support it, and let's free the silent generation here.
Thank you, Representative Hewitt. Other member questions for House File 4145 as amended before the committee? Before I lay the bill over, I'll just make a quick comment. My mother and her friends 100% support this bill as well, and so as the chair, I don't want to disappoint my mother, particularly on St. Patrick's Day as an Irishman. So that could be problematic if I didn't support this. So I guess got a good shot, but we'll see what happens. And with that, the bill will be laid over for possible inclusion later. Thank you all for your time. And then we'll move now to the next bill on the agenda, which is Representative Kresha's House File 901. I will move that before the committee for layover and possible inclusion in the 2026 Omnibus Liquor Bill. Representative Kresha, yep, I was just going to tell you, you might want to move over to the other one. We've had a little bit of trouble with that mic. So I've moved House File 901 before the committee and to be laid over for possible inclusion. Representative Kresha, I see no amendments, so to your bill, 901. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And actually, with the snow, I had an amendment that didn't get through, but that's okay. We're gonna talk to it. So thank you for your work on that. Members, what you have in front of you is probably one of the simplest bills you're gonna hear. It's also the disagreements you're gonna hear about this are, in my opinion, are probably less about actually the bill and more about other things going on behind the scenes. But what you have, members, is a simple wine transfer bill. It comes down to this. White wine has a shelf life as well as red wine, but white wine much more so than the other wines. And sometimes there's an inventory imbalance. One liquor store may have more of that wine than the other one, and because of you can have weather. As you can see, you can get 9 inches in one part of the suburb as well as you can get 2 inches in another one. And that can control buying habits. In the area that I'm at in Little Falls, we have Westside Liquor, which is a great support of the community, just a couple blocks from my house. And then there's also a couple locations down in the St. Cloud area. Imagine they're out of wine or there's an imbalance in white wine and they simply want to transfer product they've already purchased. They've already gone through all the licensure. They've already done everything. They just happen to have an imbalance of inventory. And they want to be able to transfer that wine from one location to the other so that they can sell more wine. Why? Because when you sell more inventory, you get more turns, you get more product out there, and the people that deliver that, distributors, get more business. I think that's a good model. But right now, there is disagreement on how they're allowed to transfer that wine. And so what this bill does is just simply allows them to transfer product they already own and correct that balance. Now, the amendment that I had for offering, but my apologies, I didn't get this through on time, would actually, because one of the points of contention is, well, this is going to be so much wine, we were going to reduce it down to 75 cases. Again, we're just trying to fix the problem that white wine expires. And we could even get to agreement on who transfers that. The individuals that may oppose this, fine, we'll put you in charge of transferring the wine. It's just allowing this to happen. So again, I'm going to go back to basics, economics 101. You turn more inventory, things happen, and then you get more business, and you get to move that all the way downstream. So all we're trying to do is move product that's already owned by the liquor stores. I have heard, well, this is going to hurt the small guy. Well, if you're a small person, male or female, if you're a small person with one liquor store, guess what you're not doing? You're not transferring wine. If you got 2 stores, guess what you're doing? You're transferring between 2 stores. So a lot of the objection, I think, that you're going to hear on this is groups that are just talking past each other rather than talking to each other, and I don't say that in any disparaging way. I want to get agreement on this in the other body. This was actually brought up, and it did pass in the House floor with bipartisan after they worked through some things. So, members, I hope that you can look at this for the reasonableness that it is, and I realize we're laying the bill over, but with that, I would go to testimony, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Chair Kresha. And our first testifier is Mr. Dewars, Fabian Dewars from the Teamsters Local 792. Here we go.
I think he was hesitant because he supports it now, but he's not quite sure.
We'll find out shortly, Representative Chair Kresha.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning and welcome to the committee. If you'll state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Fabian Roars, and I'm the president of Teamsters Local 792. Our members deliver beer, wine, and spirits to liquor stores and bars throughout the state. I personally represent over 600 members at distributorships that supply wine to retail establishments in every one of your districts. I'm here to testify and express our strong opposition to House File 901, commonly known as the Wine Transfer Bill. Although on the surface, this looks to be a minor change to the state liquor laws, we understand it to be only the first wave of a much larger attack on the many distributors in the state and its workers, both union and non-union. This provision is a significant step in the wrong direction and will do a big favor to the largest corporate retailer in the country, Total Wine. Total Wine has almost 300 superstores across 30 states, including 11 in Minnesota. What's worse is that this favor will come at the expense of all of us in the liquor industry. It's opposed by the Minnesota Licensed Beverage Association that represents all of the independent liquor stores in your districts, by wholesalers, and by us Teamsters. This provision will allow one huge chain or a few huge chains to be even more aggressive with their bulk purchasing power to take advantage of deals that winemakers offer, free goods and special pricing on massive purchases that only they can afford, and then move the product among their stores. One or more of their locations will turn into a warehouse from which to supply the other locations. It's a huge advantage that they hold over your local liquor stores already, but this provision would even make it worse. When a Total Wine is offering the same bottle of wine for $4 or less than your local liquor store can, this will be a huge part of the reason. Mr. Chairman, this provision is a step towards corporate consolidation in the liquor industry. It's a giveaway to the largest corporate retail entity in the state, in the liquor industry, and it will hurt the local liquor stores in your district. It's a step towards the erosion of the three-tier system that protects our thousands of small businesses in this industry and the great middle-class jobs that our members have warehousing and delivering the products to them. Total Wine will soon come asking for the same transfer of liquor and then beer and finally direct shipping from breweries straight to their stores. This provision is a bad idea, and the Teamsters strongly encourage that you reject this bill. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Representative Kresha.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the testimony. I'm wondering if I could just address a couple of the comments that were made there, just for clarification. So a couple of interesting things. First of all, it was mentioned a favor. There's no favor. I'm working on behalf of my small liquor store. The second thing is, what you heard in that testimony was the Teamsters talking about regulation, economics, how to run the business. That's not really their job, with all due respect. It's the committee's job and the executive's job to run the regulation. It's not them to tell any company how to do their business. Whether they decide how they move product around is up to them. The other thing is, I thought it was interesting, they talked about aggressive purchasing and all that. I appreciate all that, but the reality is, again, they know their inventory, they know the consumers, and they know the products they're selling. There's a reason we have sales on Sunday liquor stores. And then the last piece was that this is a step in the door of other liquors. We don't need to transfer beer. Beer, quite frankly, sells pretty easily by itself, which is interesting because the beer wholesalers at one point were against this, and we never wanted to touch the beer. So again, this is just moving product that's already been purchased that will expire. So I appreciate the testimony, but I think it gets a little bit far into the way of telling people too much how to run their business.
All right, with that, that is the number of testifiers that we had that have signed up in advance. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak to House File 901, which is before the committee? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll go to member questions. Representative Katiza-Watun. Chair Katiza-Watun.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To Representative Kresha, since, you mentioned that you are bringing this bill on behalf of one of your small local liquor stores, that may have, a few locations. Has there been any discussion in, as you bringing this bill forward? I mean, I've heard the bill before, but that there might be some sort of cap on volume that the sales do? I mean, I think, to the testifier who had considered the amount of volume that Total Wine does across the state, if some of these small liquor stores, are really kind of in a bind with some of this product that may be expiring, have you considered kind of putting a cap on it so that smaller liquor stores that may be, not able to take advantage of some of the discounts that Total Wine is able to find, that we could help those smaller businesses and not give a big bonus potentially to Total Wine and some of the other large liquor retailers?
Representative Chair Kresha.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Katiza-Watun, for your question. Yeah, in fact, there's agreement. We could limit this down to 75 cases, and I'm happy to bring that volume down. The other thing that I would bring up, I think at this time of affordability, the more competition, the more we can drive prices down for any consumer. That sounds like a good idea. We're going to have some tough times ahead, and I think that more wine is probably better these days than less, so.
Follow-up, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for that. I mean, I just wanted to get a little bit of an idea of kind of the discussions that you've been having with different stakeholders, and I think that that's something that, the committee can perhaps consider. I think what we don't want to see, right, is that Total Wine and some of the other large liquor retailers pushing out our smaller local stores or munis potentially out of business, so that there's less choice amongst Minnesotans all across the state. So appreciate your work on this.
Representative Kresha, follow-up.
Yes, thank you. Just follow up to that. Again, a certain liquor store is being named. I'm not here representing any liquor store. And the second thing I would say is maybe we shouldn't talk about monopolies and munis in the same sentence because of the way municipals have their liquor laws. So.
With that, our next member question comes from Representative Hewitt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Representative Kresha, so I too am stuck in this phase of the tier system. I have the 3-2 bill this year. It's been passed around the House like no tomorrow, but this tier system does seem to have some issues with it. However, when the people came to me about this, I said simply, we have this, it's been in place, can you work with it? And my advocate said, sure, we can work with it. So I guess I'm conflicted over that. And also, I mean, let's just take a normal product as, I know that when I run the concessions at Rosemount, if we have expired Coke, they come and get it and take it back because they don't want it out in the market and they don't want bad product. How come this isn't happening? Or help me out here, because I'm stuck on the 3-tier of, why can't they play within the rules? And I get it, our job is to change rules, but I guess that it's been working. And then the other part is, do stores right now transfer expired product around? Because that's not my experience with Coca-Cola or Pepsi. Thank you.
Representative Kresha.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Hewitt, for the question. By the way, thank you, Representative Chaucer, for signing on to the bill as well. I think I'll back up to the distinction. You're talking about expired product. I'm trying to avoid getting to expired product. I don't want the wine to expire and then we have to come and dump it. That seems to be a waste. What we're trying to do is fix the imbalance. As something's getting into a window where expiration may be an issue, we can transfer that to keep it well within the confines of being able to sell that. So I'm trying to avoid the problem altogether of, whoop, we've got expired Coke, someone come get it. How about they should have been able to transfer that Coke around and get new product in and refresh it so you never get to an expiration date. Again, the product's already been purchased by these store owners.
Representative Hewitt, follow-up.
No, Mr. Chair, I didn't get an answer to my one part about the 3-tier system and how, again, we have it in our state. These companies or all these companies have played under these rules or continue to play under them. Why can't they just adjust to that? Because there's no pathway, or I guess that's the only confusion I have, Representative Kresha, and I really respect your answers here, so.
Chair Kresha.
Thank you. So specifically to your, that's actually we're trying to play within the confines. And again, you have an inventory imbalance between two stores. We need to move it. we'll even work with, as I've talked to the advocates, the Teamsters or whomever, they can move the product. I don't care. I don't care whose trunk it goes in. I mean, it's just moving it so that we can fix that imbalance. But the problem is, as I understand it, they don't want it to be moved at all, which potentially allows one store to hold product that's going to expire, and then that creates this imbalance. So I would be more than happy to take an amendment that says we work within the 3-tier and they can move the product back and forth, but that hasn't been agreed upon. But I'm happy to take that. If there's an oral amendment that says, hey, this has to be moved by the 3-tier partners, God bless you all. Let's do that. Let's just allow it to move so the wine doesn't expire. I hate seeing good alcohol poured down the drain.
All right, with that, we have Representative Perryman, followed by Representative Finke, and that is our last question by Representative Finke that's on our list. Representative Perryman.
Thank you, Chair. Representative Kresha, can you explain how the bill does maintain transparency and regulatory oversight with your bill?
Representative Kresha.
I mean, I'm not exactly sure, Representative Perryman, your question. I mean, you know, this is inventories. People have to track it moving back and forth. There's nobody with funny burglar glasses moving wine around, nothing like that. It's just allowing it to be transferred within stores that own their own product. I'm not sure if I answered your question. I mean, there's no clandestine group that wants to move wine around for any type of super secret, double secret wine purchase.
Representative Perryman, follow up.
Yes, please, Chair O'Driscoll. Representative Kresha, I've heard and reading the bill, it seems like there's some written notification that's going to go between the Wholesaler and Alcohol Gambling Enforcement Division. Is that right?
From my understanding, yes.
Representative Kresha.
Thank you.
Representative Perryman.
I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you.
Right. Representative Finke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a quick question. I'm not familiar with how pervasive this problem is, but I wonder if the problem isn't that they're just buying too much wine. Like, why are they buying so much wine that so much of this wine is expiring? Doesn't that strikes me as a business management problem, not a problem that the legislature has to solve. If you have a bunch of wine that's expiring, purchase less wine because you're not able to sell it. Isn't that the solution here?
Chair Kresha.
Thank you, Representative Finke. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The problem is we live in an imperfect world. And when you are buying product across multiple regions, you get an imbalance of inventory. Again, things happen. You can have road construction. You can have a line break, as we did, or a sinkhole on 7th. And suddenly you're left with this product that may expire. And all we're trying to do is allow that to move. And so I hear the question, Representative Finke, but the problem is not that we're buying too much. It's just that we can't predict all of the things that happen. With other products, we can move them to fix the uncertainties of the market. With this, we cannot. So imagine a store in one side of the Twin Cities, or even in Little Falls and St. Cloud, 30 miles away. Well, if the people in Little Falls decide, or if somebody has a large event and you suddenly buy out a product, you can't replenish that with wine inventory that just may be 30 miles away. So just trying to fix an imbalance.
Representative Finke, follow up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I understand that. I just think legislating in an imperfect world is the solution isn't to make laws for every single imperfection in the world.
Seeing no other member questions, Representative Kresha will give you the final word.
Just my final, thank you very much. Thank you for the testimony, and thank you for the conversation. And I guess I would just leave with this. I'm actually trying to remove some of the barriers and not do more legislating. I'm trying to make it easier to move this inventory when it's in a tough bind. So thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members, for the consideration.
Thank you, Chair Kresha, and with that, we'll lay the bill over for possible inclusion. Our next bill is House File 4009 by Representative Bliss. I will move House File 4009 before the committee to be laid over for possible inclusion in an omnibus liquor bill that we'll consider later this morning. Good morning, Chair Bliss, and welcome to the committee. If you would go ahead and proceed with your testimony, your bill is before the committee.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
see
Chair.
no amendments, is that correct?
I'm sorry?
No amendments?
None that were prepared. I may ask for an oral one if that's okay.
Okay.
with the committee.
Did you want to talk about an oral amendment before we get started on the testimony, or on the bill, or?
I'll describe the bill. The bill has,
Okay.
basically, right now, resorts can purchase a liquor license to sell to their guests. and most smaller resorts are seasonal resorts. And this bill just simply allows the counties to sell a seasonal license to the resorts. Not a big change. When I showed this to my county auditor, she had mentioned that if you look at line, this is the oral amendment. On line, let's see, 1.17, it's the same issue with the malt liquor sales. They can only purchase annual malt liquor, so if we could maybe put on 1.7 after the word annual or seasonal license.
So
on that would be
Representative
great.
Bliss, if I understand, you're wanting to, on 1.17, item C, a county board may issue a seasonal or annual on sale. So you're looking to add 2 words, or seasonal in there? Am I understanding
Mr.
that
Chair.
correctly?
Yeah, that's
What I
correct.
think we'll do is we'll refer to Mr. Kleeman, since he is the nonpartisan staff person in charge of liquor for the committee, and see if that is the right move. Mr. Kleeman?
Mr. Chair, members, I believe the oral amendment would be on line 1.17 after annual, insert or seasonal.
And I will make that, that motion for the amendment for the bill author. Members, any discussion on the oral amendment to get the bill in the order that the author would like? Seeing none, hearing none, all those in favor of the oral amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Representative Bliss, the bill is before us the way you would like it. Any other things that we should know about, any testifiers today?
I have no testifiers. I just want to explain a little bit. In order to get a seasonal or liquor license, a seasonal liquor license, you have to be a restaurant. And in order to do that, you have to have a level 2 kitchen and seat 25 people. My lodge matches that, so I'm able to get a seasonal license, but a lot of the smaller places that have a smaller lodge, maybe seats 10 or 12 people and not a real fancy kitchen, they're not allowed to get this seasonal license. It just makes sense to allow them to get a seasonal license as well, since they're only open 5 or 6 months a year.
Thank you, Chair Bliss. Is there anyone from the audience present today who would like to testify on the matter before the committee, House File 4009, as amended? Seeing none and hearing none, any member questions? Representative Co-Chair Cagle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Bliss asking for my husband. Does this mean that Woman Lake Lodge with, that just makes donuts now can serve some adult beverages as well?
Representative Bliss.
There is, it's resorts as defined in a certain section. Woman Lake Lodge, how many cabins do they have?
Oh, like 17, I think?
Yeah, then they can currently get a liquor license, but this would just allow them to get a seasonal liquor license.
Well, they're only open seasonal, so great.
Yeah.
Any other follow-ups, Co-Chair Cagle?
No, thank you.
All right, any other member questions? Seeing none, hearing none, Representative Bliss, I'll give you the final word, sir.
I just appreciate your support. Thank you.
Very good. I will lay over House File 4009 as amended for possible inclusion later this morning in a liquor bill. Thank you, Representative and Co-Chair Bliss. Our next bill before the committee is Representative Heintzeman's bill, 4304. I will move that before the committee, and as Representative Heintzeman makes his way to the testifying table. Representative Heintzeman, any amendments to your bill this morning?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right, well, we'll have you proceed with your testimony and the bill on 4304.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members, Co-Chair Cagle. Before you today, House File 4304 is a bill that I'm working on, trying to address an issue for a constituent who developed the former railroad yards in Brainerd. If you've ever come into the Brainerd area, you'll probably recognize a number of these facilities if you're to come into town. So the old Northern Pacific train yard has now been developed, and this particular businessman thought this would make a great wedding venue, and in fact it has. Unfortunately, the problem that we have run into is that under current statute, the single liquor license does not work for this 55-acre facility. And we're being told that under current law, we would need to have 6 liquor licenses, in spite of the fact that it's one business owner and just simply a venue, many empty buildings typically until there is a wedding or what have you. And the solution that is before you today is what has been recommended to address this issue for the city of Brainerd and for my constituent.
Thank you, Chair Heintzeman. I have no testifiers who have signed up. Do you have any testifiers that I'm not aware of?
No, I do not.
Okay. Is there anyone present today who'd like to speak on House File 4304 that is before the committee? Seeing none and hearing none, member questions? Representative Hewitt.
Yes, Mr. Chair, and thank you. So I guess I'm questioning this isn't a question definitely for you, Representative Heintzeman, but maybe staff can answer it. What is the criteria? I mean, is it square footage? Is it, I don't know. This confuses me because if there's one mailing address to this business and that's the site the alcohol is served on, I'm having trouble understanding this. Maybe staff could help us on this?
Sure, we'll ask Mr. Kleeman if he can help clarify.
Mr. Chair and Representative Hewitt, the issue that the event center is likely running into is the compact and contiguous requirement. So for a large event center, if they wanted to have sales and service at different locations throughout the event center, they would have to get separate licenses because under state law, the on-sale licenses are limited to a specific compact and contiguous premises. So any service of alcohol that is intended to be not contiguous or not compact, then they would need a separate license for it. So what the bill would do is it would say that the license could be issued to the event center for a space that's not compact and contiguous.
Representative Hewitt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Representative Heintzeman. This is interesting because a lot of our metro venues have, like, for instance, I used to represent the zoo and they had numerous serving points around the zoo. If many of you have been to that event. And so I guess that I don't know why this is even in law. So yeah, I'm totally supportive of this going into the omnibus.
Representative Hewitt, I believe that when we get to the DE, we have 2 others that are similar to this, one by Representative Jones and one by Representative Kraft. Different parts in the metro where his is in Brainerd that have kind of that same style of issue. Representative Katiza-Watun.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a follow-up, I guess, based on your most recent comment. So this does seem to make a lot of sense, Representative Heintzeman. But are all centers, event centers that would kind of like fall under this compact and contiguous, are they all going to have to come back to the legislature? So we're making an individual change in the DE for this center in Brainerd, for perhaps one in Representative Kraft and Representative Jones's district? Are they all going to have to come back, or are we just fixing the issue so that if a center is not compact and contiguous, that they would be able to apply for this one type of license?
I'm going to pivot right now to Mr. Kleeman, and he can help us answer that question.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair and Representative Katiza-Watun, another factor in this issue is that an event center cannot get an on-sale license as an establishment that qualifies for one. So that's the other piece of authorization that is needed for some of these bills. When an event center, when a special authorization, therefore the event centers would need special authorization, provided that those special authorizations allow licenses to be issued for a space that's not compact and contiguous, then they wouldn't have to come back and modify that at a later date.
Representative Katiza-Watun.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Kleeman.
All right. Any other member questions at this time? Seeing none and hearing none, we'll give you the final word. Chair Heintzeman, before we lay the bill over.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members, for the comments and questions. I had many of the same questions as I was working on this issue. I appreciate that we've been able to bring this bill before the committee. and I hope we have an opportunity to see it become law. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, and with that, I will lay the bill over for possible inclusion in an omnibus liquor bill later today. We are now on item number 7, and I will bring before the committee Senate File 2511. And what I want to do is I want to, again, just guide members through the game plan of what we're doing here this morning. In the DE amendment, and with the committee's indulgence, I will stay here and I will kind of just navigate everything as to run back and forth between the testifiers table and the chair table, or the chair spot here at the table. What House File, Senate File 2511 will do is when we take the DE1 amendment, these are bills that we heard last year that were not controversial. They were also heard earlier this session in the Senate. I'm going to bring the DE forward, and I will explain all the provisions in the bill to members. I will also ask if there's anyone present who would like to testify on this. It is being done for a clock management purpose, not an exclusion of public testimony, and that's why when we do bring the DE amendment forward, I am going to ask for public testimony so that we do have transparency, and of course, members always have the right to ask questions on this. And then what we will do is we'll consider a series of amendments when we adopt the DE1 amendment to Senate File 2511 and the other amendments from the bills that we heard today, and then we'll take a final vote once we have determined which additional amendments we would like to add to the bill, and then we'll take final action to move that from the committee to the general register for consideration when the Rules Committee gets around to being able to bring that forward. So, questions on the game plan from members? Okay, with that, I will bring forward the DE1 amendment. Again, this is the entire contents of the Senate's liquor bill that was passed about 2.5, 3 weeks ago. And again, as I said, I want to take a minute just to walk through what is in the bill, or what is in the DE, and then we'll adopt that, and we'll then go to the various amendments. The Senate DE file includes House File 472, which is by Representative Frederick, for special liquor for a Minnesota State campus down in Mankato. It also includes House File 509, Representative Smith's Rochester Chateau Theater provision. It also includes Representative Coulter's 1089 Bloomington for the Durane Golf Course. We had that issue last year that we were talking about. It also includes House File 1121, Representative Duran's bill for Lake of the Woods County. It also includes Representative Gander's 1668, again, special liquor license for the University of Minnesota up in Crookston, which had been similar to the same type of request from Representative Frederick for a Minnesota State campus. It includes House File 1741, the Representative Kraft bill for the St. Louis Park Food Hall. It also includes House File 1876 for Representative Jones for a food hall. Again, those are the two bills that I was referring to when we had questions for Representative Heintzeman, that this is not a unique situation for Brainerd. We do have two of those bills included in the DE. It also includes House File 2055, the Representative Perez Vega bill for Union Depot and the Science Museum here in St. Paul. It includes House File 1267, the Representative 1262, the Representative Franson food truck bill as amended. We were working on that last year, and we've got that worked out. Representative Torkelson's 2214 for special liquor license for the city of Springfield, and House File 3382, Representative Swazinski for a Marshall City special as well. And then two that we did not hear in our committee, but they're very similar to the other ones. And again, I'm going to open it up to member questions and to public testimony. Southwest State University, again, similar to the other Minnesota State requests that are in here for liquor sales and a license to be able to be issued for sales on campus for events, and the Rasmussen bill, which we did not have a House companion for the city of Earhart for a special liquor license. And those are the bills that, again, we heard last year or came over from the Senate. And so before we take up the DE amendment, I'm going to ask members if there's any questions that you have on the DE1 amendment, and then after that, we'll move to adopt that into Senate File 2511, and then consider other amendments from today's discussion. Member questions on the DE1 amendment? Representative Smith.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say on behalf of all Rochester residents, thank you to the co-chairs for allowing us to have Glühwein at our Christmas market this year at the Chateau Theater.
Very good. Is there any members of the public that would like to testify on the DE1 amendment? Again, we have Senate File 2511 before the committee, which will become the omnibus liquor bill vehicle. Anyone wishing to testify on the DE1 amendment going twice? Going 3 times? All right, seeing no public testimony, additional member questions on the DE1 amendment? If not, I will move the DE1 amendment to Senate File 2511 to get the bill in the order that the bill author wants. All those in favor of adopting the DE1 amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion prevails. We now have a series, members, of amendments that tie back into some of the testimony that we had heard earlier today. The first amendment that you have in your packets is the A2 amendment, which is the Heintzeman, which is an amendment that Representative Heintzeman will be moving and offering, and it is the language that was in his bill, and it's just easier from a maintenance and administrative standpoint to take it on as an amendment and adopt it so we can continue to move that. Representative Heintzeman, to your A2 amendment.
Yes, I would move the amendment, Mr. Chair.
Representative Heintzeman moves the A2 amendment. Members, questions on the A2 Heintzeman amendment? And that, again, ties back to the bill that we just heard moments ago. Seeing none and hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the A2 amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion prevails. The A10 amendment, I will move the A10 amendment. That is, again, the amendment for the Nadeau bill that we heard when we started the committee this morning, known as the Granny Happy Hour. I will move that bill before the committee. Members, any questions on the A10 amendment? Again, the identical language from the bill today that was brought to us. Seeing none and hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the A10 amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. The other one that we have that's here is something that we did not have a bill for, and it is something that has come up in the last couple of weeks, and it was something that was noted in the cooler bill, and I think everyone may be familiar with that. We have folks from the liquor industry that have talked about that. Unfortunately, we have one of our members who has experience in the liquor industry. Representative Perryman has the A8 amendment. Representative Perryman, did you want to talk about the A8 amendment? We may have a little discussion with members on this as to what it is, how it works, and what the issues are. Representative Perryman to the A8 amendment.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members. I carry the A8 amendment, and the reason is, had Chair O'Driscoll alluded to, I was in the industry for over 20 years in St. Cloud, and the model of distribution and wholesalers has completely changed. So a trade practice issue has recently come up in the alcohol industry because Minnesota's wholesalers have diversified their portfolios in recent years, and most of them, I emphasize, now sell non-alcoholic products, including things like energy drinks and soft drinks and snack foods. This amendment updates the Tied House alcohol law, which prevents brewers and wholesalers from giving money, equipment, or other things of value to retailers. The amendment keeps those restrictions, but clarifies that manufacturers or wholesalers who sell non-alcoholic products can follow normal trade practices for those products, like promotions or marketing. So as long as those activities are used to influence, are not used to influence the sale of alcohol beverages. The Amendment 8 ensures that these practices are not and cannot be tied to sale of alcohol, ensuring that public safety issues remain addressed, and excludes, I will remind you that it excludes cannabis, THC, which are regulated through a different regulatory body. I am unaware of any opposition and would appreciate your support to A8 to create an even playing field for all the distributors and wholesalers in the state.
Thank you, Representative Perryman. Members, questions to the A8 amendment? We'll call it the cooler amendment. Seeing none and hearing none, is there anyone in the public that would like to testify in the A8 amendment? Seeing none and hearing none, Representative Perryman, we will take a vote on the A8 amendment. All those in favor of the A8 amendment, the cooler amendment, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion prevails. Our next amendment that we have is the A5 amendment. And because we took an oral amendment on the bill, I'm going to ask Mr. Kleeman to go ahead and help us again with the oral amendment on the A5 amendment, just to make sure that we get it correct and that we don't have any issues associated with this.
Mr. Chair and members, page 1, line 16, the oral amendment, which would conform to the oral amendment that was heard earlier, would be page 1, line 16, after annual, insert or seasonal.
Members' questions on the oral amendment to the A2 amendment. So I will move the A5 amendment with the oral amendment. All those in favor of the oral amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion prevails. To the A5 amendment, members, as amended. Any questions? Hearing none and seeing none. All those in favor of the A5 amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion prevails. Members, before we move to the consider of the final passage, I also want to let you know that since the Senate has passed their bill and ours is the updated bill, the hope and wishes from meetings that Chair Kegel and I have had with Senate Commerce leaders, including the chair, is that what will happen is this bill will pass from our committee, go to the General Register. It will then be taken up for consideration from the floor. If that happens, it will move to the Senate, and the Senate will concur with the bill, with the way that we have it. They are in agreement with the amendments and with the provisions that we have here. So before we move the bill for consideration as amended, are there any other member thoughts or questions before we bring the bill to a vote? Representative Co-Chair Cagle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just wanted to thank you for for the cooperation on this bill. I think we were able to get something really good done, and just wanted to say thanks.
You're welcome. I will also note that this bill does not have anything to do with the plethora, and I do mean plethora, not that, plethora. Maybe I've already been out and about on St. Patrick's Day, but I haven't. And there's no Irish cream in this coffee, so. We've two issues that have been things that have been brought before the committee before. Social districts, a number of members have introduced bills on social districts in consultation with people who have a stake in that. We didn't have the time or the mechanism in which to really look at this. There are different ideas, anywhere from let communities have as many as they want, and I don't want to say laissez-faire, kind of let the communities decide, all the way up to no, we should have a limited number that are granted by a regulatory agency in the state or somewhere in between, some type of geographic distance. There just was not time to take that issue up. So thankfully for the 2027 legislative session, this committee will be leaving behind some work for them to get started on in the next biennium. And also what is not in here is my attempt for 5 years to try to help the entertainment and the resort industry and the hospitality industry with 17-year-old servers. I am stepping back from that. It is with great disappointment that I do that, because I think it is a good bill and I think it is a good and well and needed feature in Minnesota, but I also realize that other members have bills that need to be passed for their communities. So I'm taking and stepping aside from that that particular bill this year, knowing that the hospitality industry will most likely be back talking about that in future sessions, because they have been hearing from their members about the importance of that. So no social districts in this bill and no 17-year-old servers. It is basically all of the local members and their community type bills. No major changes, with probably the exception of the granting legislation. Oh, and the cooler amendment that we talked about, that would be of a statewide effect. So with that, Representative Finke, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Madam Chair, and I'm sorry that I had to go after you. I was trying to
ahead.
go before you because I'm taking a very unpopular position in Minnesota and on St. Patrick's Day, but I do feel like I have to, right? I mean, I just think it's important for somebody to say, like, I think alcohol is a pervasive product in the state of Minnesota, and all of these bills seem very reasonable individually, but it is representing a value for the state of Minnesota, which is that alcohol should be more pervasive and more available, despite it being one of the leading causes of death, a preventable death, despite having one of the highest binge drinking percentages in the country. You know, I don't oppose people having access to alcohol, but I've made no secret of my sobriety and the challenges that people have. And I think that as a state, we should be cautious about saying that this thing that kills 2,000 people a year in the state of Minnesota should be more available everywhere. That is worth, I think, putting on the record. So thank you for your time.
Well, Representative Finke, congratulations on your sobriety. It is a challenge for folks, and this business certainly tests our our dependencies and different kinds of things. I'll just leave it at that. So, thank you for your view on that.
Thank you very much, and we'll reach 6 years sober next week. So it's a big deal for me.
Congratulations.
We do this every year. Thank you. And we do this every year, and every year I'm going to continue to say, like, alcohol is everywhere, y'all.
And with that, I will move that House File 2511, as amended, be re-referred to the General Register. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The motion prevails, and the bill is on its way to the General Register. We have two other orders of business before us this morning. One of them is the Harder bill that we heard and laid over, and the second is a Nash bill that we will be hearing later today. The reason that we brought these two up and why we have the Harder bill back is we were wondering if, in addition to a liquor bill, there might be a cannabis bill and there might be also a separate gaming bill. A gaming bill has not materialized, and these were the two provisions that we had that were gaming related, that were in the possession of the committee. And so we figured that as we're moving to wrap up the first and second deadline, that we would move these bills out as separate or independent bills instead of looking at a omnibus bill, because it would just be these two provisions in an omnibus bill. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring back before the committee the Harder bill of House File 357 before the committee. And again, we've heard this. It is non-controversial. If you remember, this is a card game by any other name is still the same card game, and we wanted to get into statute clarity on the name of this game so that there wasn't any kinds of enforcement-related issues. And so with that, I will move that House File 357, House File 357, be re-referred to the General Register. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion prevails. And our final bill on the agenda this morning is going to be the Representative Nash bill. He is on his way up. I believe he should be here shortly. So I just ask members to kind of stand by. We'll go into a short recess to the call of the chair until Representative Nash gets here. Please stay very close by, because as soon as Representative Nash gets here, we'll hear that bill, and I will give you the rest of your morning back. About 10 minutes roughly is what we're hearing. He's got, 2 minutes. 2-minute warning.
Okay, well then I can wait.
2 minutes. Members, I'm going to call the committee to order. Our final bill author has arrived. And so members and those who are attending the committee, if you would please take your seats and come to order. We will go to our final order of business here this morning. And I will bring House File 4090 before the committee. Representative Chair Nash, welcome to the committee. I believe you do have an author's amendment, is that correct?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and my apologies. I was in the middle of chairing my own committee, and my vice chair is back at it. But yes, we do have the A1, if you would move it on my behalf, sir.
I will move the A1 amendment to House File 4090 to get it in the order that the bill author would like. Discussion to the A1 amendment, members? Seeing none and hearing none, all those in favor of the A1 amendment to get the bill in the order the author wishes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion prevails. Representative Chair Nash, to your bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, appreciate the opportunity to be here today. There is probably nothing more Minnesotan than a meat raffle. And if you've never gone to a meat raffle, I will invite you to come out to Waconia. We'll go and attend a meat raffle together. If you've never looked at it, it's basically the upper Midwest and New York who are getting it right. Everybody else is just dead wrong on having fun on a weekend night. You go to a bar or you go to a Legion or you go to somewhere and you plunk down a little bit of cash, you get the opportunity to see the wheels spin, and you can win meat. This is fantastic stuff. Currently, the statute reads that the prize can only be worth $70, and as things go, meat might exceed the cost of $70. So you may not get the greatest prize like you used to. I myself have won ribeyes in the past or New York strips. We're in need of elevating that to a different level so that not only can folks who come and take advantage of the meat raffle come away with a great prize, but that the charities themselves can do a better job of raising money and investing that back in the communities that they work in. So, Mr. Chair, that's the crux of the bill. I do have some testifiers that would like to share the impacts that this bill will be able to impart to their communities.
Two things before we do that, Chair Nash. Number one, Co-Chair Kegel, Representative Nash has invited us to come and participate in meat raffles, and he was bragging about the fact that he won steaks. Were you ever invited to his house for steaks?
I've never been invited
Me
to
either. I don't know if that should weigh in on the future of this bill, but it may.
And Mr. Chair, I will gladly host you, but you're on your own to cook it once you take it home. So, or we can set up a grill outside wherever we happen to be, and if you're so lucky as to win a New York strip or something, I'll cook it for you.
There we go. And on a more
Mr.
serious
Chair.
note, do you maybe want to just speak a little bit more to the information in the A1 amendment for members?
So the bill as amended also sets the level of the prize to $200, but that the cash prize itself stays at the $70 level so that we don't get into some difficulties there. But the walk-away win a bucket of meat prize goes to $200, but the cash prize stays at $70.
Very good. And with that, we have a series of testifiers. Our first testifier is Tim Ingstrom from the Bloomington American Legion. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Chair.
You're kind of hiding. Maybe if we could just like shift over about eight inches or so here.
Just that there.
I didn't mean to bring this so much as a prop for theatrics, but I wanted to bring it for educational purposes. Not everybody knows when we say meat raffle that it's not really a raffle. A raffle is typically where you put names in a cylinder and you spin it and you pull the name out. This is technically a paddle wheel when it comes to the classifications of gambling in Minnesota. But I'm not going to change the way Minnesotans say meat raffle, so it's meat raffle. Minnesota has a great youth sports scene, and a lot of it comes from wheels like this. In Bloomington, Legion Baseball runs meat raffles at the sports page, and it helps fund that program. There's a lot of hockey programs and other youth sports that are relying on these things, and for years they've had great meat products, but or sometimes gift cards or other things in substitute, because as grocery store prices rise and costs go up over time, it's necessary now and then for the legislature to adjust its numbers for the regulation within gambling and other fields to match the times. And we would love to be able to provide better meat and better prizes and to help raise funds and continue to raise funds for these programs that we support. In our town, it would be Bloomington American Legion Baseball with the meat raffle. I know just up the street at the VFW, the Kennedy basketball program does the meat raffle there. They benefit from it. So, and there's other groups that benefit from the charitable gambling altogether, but those are specifically the ones doing the meat raffles. So I would not waste too much of your time, but I just want to let you know that this would be very much appreciated, and this would be something that would, it seems like it's agreed upon and non-controversial. So thank you very much for considering.
Very good. And again, House File 4090 as amended is before the committee with the goal of re-referring that to the general register. Our next testifier is Dean Schutte, if I'm pronouncing that correct?
Schutte.
Dean, excuse me.
Yes.
Go ahead and state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Dean Schutte. I represent Allied Charities of Minnesota and also the Claremont Area Chamber of Commerce. I had some prepared notes here, but Tim kind of picked on some of those, so I'm just going to kind of ad-lib it here. But so
We do that every day, so you're fine.
what we're really asking for here is just to change the limits on the paddle wheel. If you've done meat raffles, you know that they can be done a variety of different ways. One of the common ways is a tip board. On the tip board, we already have the limits that we're asking for here. So all we're doing is asking it to be representative to that. And incidentally, the paddle wheel was brought out, Minnesota legislature, I just looked it up early this morning, authorized paddle wheels back in 1978. And to the best of my knowledge, those limits have never been changed. Well, what you could buy for meat in 1978 versus what you can buy in 2026, you went from steaks to hot dogs and maybe a half a hot dog. So I think it's time that we update the prices just to reflect the current economic trend. So I would appreciate the support for House File 4090.
Thank you. Representative Hewitt and Representative Cha, to the testifier, or did you want to get on the list for member questions? Representative Hewitt?
Member
Member
Maybe
questions?
this really quick. Representative Nash, when you said cash prizes, and does that include gift cards or gift cards in this?
I can take that.
Mr.
No,
Schutte.
gift card is same as like a chunk of meat. So the cash is just purely cash. That price will be limited to $70. Any other prize of substance, whether it be a gift card or a chunk of meat, is what we're talking about changing.
Representative Cha?
Just add me to this, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. And our next testifier is Andy Plato from the Minnesota Indian Gaming Association. Good morning. If you'll state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair. My name is Andy Plato, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Minnesota Indian Gaming Association, representing 9 tribal nations on gaming issues. On behalf of our members, thank you, Chair Nash and Allied Charities, for their support and inclusion of the A1 amendment, which was very important to our members. From our perspective, only one important issue remains, and that is similar to what Representative Hewitt just mentioned, and that is whether Visa gift cards or those that are easily redeemable for cash meet the definition of merchandise in the bill. We know some charities use gift cards today, often for local butchers and meat markets. Think Von Hansen's in my district and McIntoon's near Representative Nash's. But if the goal, that should continue, by the way, that's a great part of this operation. But if the goal is to exempt cash prizes from the increase, then Visa gift cards and others like it should also be prohibited. I hope to continue working with Chair Nash to make that clarification moving forward. Based on that commitment and the A1, our association has no objection to this bill moving forward today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Chair Nash, did you want to speak to the question that the testifier talked about?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and members, certainly happy to work to get an amendment for the floor since this is, we're running low on time. I will give you my absolute guarantee that we will engross an amendment, which would be very minor on the floor.
Mr. Plato, you're okay with that?
Perfect. Thank you so much for that commitment, Mr. Chair.
Okay. With that, that ends the testimony of persons who have signed up in advance. Is there anyone present today who'd like to speak to House File 4090 as amended that is before the committee with the goal of bringing it to a vote to re-refer it to the general register? Anyone, members, seeing nothing from the public? Additional member questions, Representative Cha?
Yes. Nash, thanks for bringing this bill up. I unfortunately understand the cost of cattle because in 2007, when I was raising heifers and steers, it was about $1 a pound on steers. Today's Minnesota prices is about $4 a pound. So that 600 is about $2,400 today. So I support your bill, and thanks for bringing it forward.
So Representative Cha, if it was $70 instead of $200, 70 times 4, but about $280, he left change on the table, didn't he?
Perhaps that's a tip.
Again, I about once a week, I throw something out that I think is funny and it's not, so that's why I'm moving to Representative Katiza for her question.
I always enjoy your jokes, Mr. Chair. Representative Nash, thank you for bringing this bill forward. I actually have one meat raffle out in your district, so I plan to return.
Perhaps I missed the call that you were out.
It was a few years back,
Okay.
but yeah. I guess I have a question for those perhaps on the committee or in the audience or watching online. I'm wondering if maybe the testifier or yourself wants to just kind of illuminate for folks how the process of a meat raffle works. The testifier had listed out a couple of the different sports organizations that run raffles at different locations, and do they solicit donations from like local farms or local butcher markets or grocery stores, or do they kind of take funds that have been donated to their program and then purchase the meat? I'm just kind of curious how exactly that works.
So these organizations are
Engstrom.
volunteers that help run the, I'm sorry,
You're
Chairman.
fine, go ahead, Mr. Engstrom.
These organizations are volunteers that help run the meat raffles, but the license holder does the purchasing of the meat. So with the American Legion Baseball, the American Legion itself, the Post, has the license, and we purchase the meat, and we purchase it from Festival Foods, but typically we don't actually go and do it. We cut a check and give it to the baseball people to go get the meat. And I think Festival Foods provides it to them at a discount below what they would sell retail. Some places I know get it at cost or even discounted, or at even sometimes they have a supplier that will even donate, maybe like Representative Cha. Those things do occur, but it does go through the license holder.
Follow-up, Representative Katiza-Watun?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. I think that was really helpful just to kind of better understand the process as a whole. And then I guess my final question to Chair Nash would be, might there be any karaoke in which you bring out some of the Johnny Cash lyrics that you hold so dear at our field trip out
Chair
to?
Nash.
And Mr. Chair, I would be happy if you wanted to come out and join the Jim Nash, Johnny Cash birthday bash, which we have. And I will be happily engaged in Johnny Cash karaoke if you'd like to come out.
Wonderful.
I think I just lost control of this committee.
Madam Chair, I have that effect on people's.
And, no. Anyone else have a commercial if they want to bring up this morning? Representative Cagle.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to say, my husband and I often go down to High Stakes, which is our local den of charitable gambling. And so I'm looking forward to hopefully having a beef tenderloin on the meat raffle there and benefiting our local Spring Lake Park Lions Club. So thank you very much.
Very good. Other member questions this morning? Seeing none and hearing none, Representative Nash, we will give you the final word on House File 4090 as amended before we take a vote on whether or not it moves to the general register.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I think one of the things that we're maybe losing a little bit of focus on in our great love for meat products is what happens with the proceeds from this for the communities that we all serve. It does a tremendous amount of benefit for, as the testifier said, for charitable organizations, sports groups. It is a great thing that we do while we enjoy our upper Midwestern ritual of meat raffles. So with that, Mr. Chair, I appreciate the time of the committee and will allow things to proceed from here.
All right, with that, I will renew my motion that House File 4090 as amended be re-referred to the General Register. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion prevails. You are on your way.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee.
That concludes the formal business of the committee, and as we oftentimes do, I will refer to Co-Chair Cagle and see if she would give us a little bit of an insight of what we're looking at tomorrow.
Yeah, so.
Co-Chair Cagle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tomorrow, we'll be taking back up the HOA bill, House File 1750. There's been a lot of work done on that bill, and so we're excited to have something good come out of that. We will also be hearing Representative Cleaborn's bill on firearm liability insurance and Representative Hansen's bill on chemical dependency services. And then I'm excited to have my bill up on ticket resales. So that, yeah, so that's a preview for tomorrow.
Yep. So we now have kind of the lay of the land. If there's no other business for the committee today, we are adjourned.